Hello, welcome. Welcome back to Children's Time. I'm so happy to be with you again. It's been a long time, it seems like, but I hope you all had a good summer. I hope you're all safely back at school. I've missed you very much, and I'm really glad to be bringing you this video children's message again, along with members of the First Lutheran Church Stuffy cast. Like I said, I miss you all very much, and in conversations with lots of members at First Lutheran Church, many people have told me the same thing. They miss you very, very much, and they hope and long for the day when we can worship all again. But until then, the important thing is to be safe and to keep those around us safe. So we will do that because we are called to be people of love. It's lovely to be with you. Each one of you is making this day special by just being you. Welcome. This Sunday, Jesus tells a story, and in some ways it is a bit of a sad story. But we all know that in Jesus' stories, sadness never gets the last word. In Jesus' stories, there is always hope. The story he tells is about a landowner here who owned a vineyard. A vineyard is a farm where they grow grapes. I didn't have any grapes at hand, but I have some oranges here to show that the vineyard is a farm where they grow food. Now this landowner rented his land to some tenants, some people who farmed the land for him. And then at the end of the year, when all the grapes or the oranges were grown, they would keep most of it, but they would give some of the food to the landowner for rent. And this was a good arrangement. Well, at the end of the year, when the food was all grown and it was time for the tenants to pay the landowner rent, the landowner sent one of his servants to go and collect the rent that was due, some of the food. So the servant went and asked the tenants for some of the food as rent, but the tenants didn't want to pay the rent. They wanted to keep the vineyards for themselves, so they killed the landowner's servant. That's what they did. Well, the landowner heard of this, and so he sent another servant, another one of his servants, to go and collect some of the food as rent. But the tenants killed that servant too. So finally the landowner thought, what will I do? What I will do is I will send my son. Surely they will treat him with respect, and they will give him the rent. And so the landowner sent his beloved son to go and collect the rent. And when he asked for it, the tenants killed him too. Jesus asked the people he was telling the story to what they thought would happen next. What do you think would happen next? What do you think the landowner would do in this situation? Well, the people said to Jesus, surely the landowner will kill those tenants and put them to death too and take what is his. Well, Jesus never says what it is that he thinks the landowner will do. But something very, very similar happens in the life of Jesus. And I think you know what that is. Jesus is God's own beloved Son. In the past, God had sent prophets to the people to call them to God's ways of sharing food, doing justice, being people of peace and love. Sometimes those prophets were put to death, and so God thought, what should I do? I know, I will send my own son, my beloved son Jesus, to them. Surely people will listen to him. But we know what happened on Good Friday. Despite all the good Jesus did, Jesus was still put to death. Now what do you think God will do? Well, we know what God will do. God is so full of love, he doesn't put anyone else to death. On Easter Sunday, God raises Jesus from death so that Jesus can go on with God's program of loving this whole world and every person in it. And it's a program he calls you to participate in. The story is not really about how wicked the tenants are. It's really about how great the landowner's love is, and how patient the landowner is, and how the landowner will keep trying over and over and over and over to get the people to share what they have. In the end, the story is about God's love for us, and how much God loves us that God even sent his son Jesus to us. And despite the fact that Jesus was put to death, God raised Jesus back to life to keep on loving us and to call us to his program, to love this world and every person in it. At First Lutheran Church, you and I are participants in this program. We are the ones who listen to God's call to keep on loving this world and every person in it until at last love fills this whole world. I'm so glad that you are partners with me in this wonderful venture at First Lutheran Church, where we care for one another and for those in our neighborhood. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to be with you. I will see you again next week. And until then, be well, keep safe. Know that I love and miss you, and that you are making this day special by just being you.